Were there moments where you were stressful? Like what I just looked up before this video, I wanted to also check out like, hey, the Decubate platform has a native token, which you need to stake it and to be liable for the lunches, etc. And I was looking at the price of the token, and it was like I felt like, wow, I knew that the market did well, but what happened here, man? It did like in the last year, it went up like 60x, and the, I guess I have two questions about that. One, by the time in the bear market when it went down like every altcoin does basically, were you also stressed out about that, or do you feel like no, that's not reflecting the company's success at all, because price is measurable, of course? So how did you feel back then?
That was on our bi-weekly meetings with the entire company. That was the thing that I repeated time and time over again. I tend to be a stoic for myself. I really tend to really focus on the things that I can influence. And
Yeah.
sometimes things are just outside of your control. You gotta let it go and just really focus on the things you can control, which is we have been here before. Like, this is not my first bear market. Sometimes it's just out of our control. People are gonna be unhappy, but if you cannot launch projects, they're just not launching successfully, and they're trying to make it work. There's still a lot of resources going to this. It's just not. It's just going to be wasteful, you know. So we made a very strategic decision also during the bear market, and you'll be able to find these articles back as well. That we made a strategic decision to really shift over to technical solutions and build
Yeah.
that infrastructure instead of doing the launchpad. But when we came back to the launch pads, we also understood like we need to have a refund system. But because we are based in the Netherlands and we're regulated, um, we couldn't just have a refund policy because we cannot have like customer funds and manage them and those kind of things. So we had to come up with this new technology, like the permissionless refund policy you're seeing everywhere now. That is something that we were the first ones to actually build. Um, and when we offered that, that was when we actually kickstarted the launchpad again. And then from there, you can definitely see that there's a lot of traction to the token. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there wasn't really stress on my mind, except of, you know, it's a shame. But again, sometimes things are just outside of your control and you just gotta have to do your best.
Yeah. And you also already kind of answered my second question. Like after that period where everything went like this, Decubate yeah, it compensated for that. Like it went up like super hard. Was that like anticipated? Were you working on that like directly, or was it just did it just happen? Like did you buy the dip?
No, of course, like we take a look at these things, but also internally, like we don't talk about trading. We also have a non-trading policy within the company. Like, you want to be a trader, go work somewhere else. Like
Yeah.
that's what I like to say. Um, but no, like we always say, well, just keep up the good work, keep doing what we're doing, and in the end, you know, we're gonna get there. Like one hand or the other. But definitely, we're super proud and we are very very excited. Like, I'm not gonna stand here on a high horse and say we're not excited, but mainly also the excitement comes from the fact that our community is also excited. Definitely also the ones
Yeah.
that were with us the entire bear market and just continue to be there with us, but also for the new community that are getting in and seeing distraction. And I think overall, it's really a feeling like, yeah, we're doing great. We did like 70x since the all-time low, but we are
Yeah.
still so very early.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very simple. You can compare, like, again, there are a lot of other launch pads, so that's already a measure point. And if you then look at some valuations, I feel like, huh, like there is a lot of room also for that, which unfortunately is often a very good reason for people to start buying it, right? So this, yeah, that's what it is. And what I mainly like about Decubate is it's super user friendly, and we talked about that before. You say that that's a big point of focus, right? The user friendliness. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you feel like this is what we are focusing on right now? We're gonna improve this, or if you can tell me something about it. If not, then not.
No, no, of course, definitely. I'm happy to. So we really want to have the most user-centric launchpad in the world. Like you could argue, okay, what does that exactly mean? I think for every launchpad, that's going to be a very personal thing. For me, how I manage, or let's say measure that, is if I get 5 times the same question from a user, I don't want to. I don't want a 6-1 to ask the same thing in 3 weeks from now, because if there are 5 times the same question, it means that you are not doing something good. So it's not like an ego thing or something like that. But no, it's a great thing that we can improve. When it comes to our launchpad for new participants, and this also definitely comes from my experience within the launchpad space, I want them to feel like a safe place where they can come. They don't need to buy like $500 worth of Decubate tokens in order to get started. They can start with a free base tier. Everything is super easy. Everything is super smooth. They know that the launchpad as it is, we built it from the ground up. We didn't buy any single line of code. We did everything ourselves. So we are also able to improve it very, very quickly. The entire development team that has built this from nothing is still with us today. And now the focus is really, like, especially in the past 6 weeks, has been full on the launchpad. So we really want to thrive for perfection when it comes to user experience. And you would also see every few weeks, you would definitely see like improvements all the time coming in.
Yeah, I noticed you were very quick with that as well. It's absolutely beautiful to see. You were talking about raises at the beginning. How does that work actually? Because you are, as far as I know, you were raising for these new projects amounts of around $100,000. Stepping that up right now, right? You say like, okay, it could be maybe 200-300. Where does that depend on, and what make you say like, okay, now we can, for example, raise $500,000 for a project? Because for the investors out there, that means that you probably get a higher allocation. What does that rely on, if you can raise a lot or not?
That's a great question. So I'm gonna like answer this just as straight as I can, right? Like which is, when you're working with a project, like I'm also like a tokenomics advisor, right? Like I take a look at their tokenomics. I see what the initial market cap is. So I see what the sell pressure is. I also want to know when the project started. So how much funding did they still have? You need to understand, okay, what exchanges are they going to go with? How are they going to battle or combat this sell pressure that is upcoming? So in order to decide as a launchpad, like how much allocation you're going to get, obviously, like for the user's sake, our user base, we want to get as much as possible. Let's set that up right up front. Like the more we can have, the better. But it's not always in the best interest of everyone if you're raising, I don't know, $1 million, because that also causes a lot of sell pressure. Like ask yourself, do I rather have like $10 worth of allocation for a project that does 10x, or do I rather have like $20 allocation, but it does only 2x, right? So that is also considered. Now, obviously, we don't know what the project is going to do once it lists, but we can definitely influence it. So to answer your question, if the project is really great, sometimes they're going to tell me, hey, Elliot, you really want to work with you, but it's not going to be more than 100K. And then the decision that I have to make is, are we going to give this a pass, or are we going to give this a go? But we also have minimum requirements. So we have a minimum requirement of 100K. We upgraded that to 150. We actually did Linex yesterday, which was 250. We have multiple projects that are coming up for 300,000 as well, which are going to also be exclusively only launched on Decubate.
Awesome.
But to also answer your question, we also definitely taken a look in the market to our competitors. So the metric that I also like to use is how much staking value does our user have within Decubate, and how much allocation are we giving it for that staking value. So let's assume you're $1,000 worth of Decubate. How much allocation actually are you getting for that? So that's definitely also something I'm looking at.
That's good. What I noticed in my community as well, like I said, the talking is a lot about launchpads, and people are really looking for the highest allocations for the least amount of tokens staked. And I think like, it's kind of understandable, of course, but that would mean that you are also one of the few participants in these projects, and that there is not a high chance of succeeding, of course. And launchpads should be a privilege, of course, right? Like if everybody can step into a launchpad, then there's no buying pressure on the open market, so the price is not going to respond well as well. I don't. What's your view on that? So that's my personal take.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned before, and this again, not necessarily the best thing for the end user, and I understand what they're looking for. A lot of times they don't want to stick around. They want to just get the next 100x and then go to the next one.
Yeah.
But from a project's perspective, like I don't think that launchpads are for fundraising again, especially with the current refund policies and those kind of things. It's really to create exposure through also creating scarcity and those kind of things. But again, if we have a great project, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't in the upcoming months even do exclusive and then go for 300, 400, 500. Why not? If it makes sense and we can argue why it would actually provide a value, sure.
Yeah, and you have a good list on your website of the projects that you released because, you know, ChainGPT did well, LitLab, it took a while, but it did very well. DexCheck did well, Solidus did well, Trade Tomato, I think, did well, Chappies did well. Like, they all are, like, doing quite well. You have a good track record of sustainable projects that actually add value, instead of, yeah, like you said, something that has a all-time high ROI of like a 500x, but you had to be there exactly at 3 o'clock in the morning to sell your tokens, and otherwise you would have missed out. That's like not what you should go for, of course. So my question is, I guess, a couple questions from your personal point of view. What is the what is the project that you already released, if you want to answer it, that you already released and that you still feel like, man, this is something that I really love? Like, there should be probably multiple, but if you had to pick one.
Oh man,
Yeah, I'm
that's a
gonna
really
ask the
hard
hard
one.
questions now.
Because I take a look at these projects and I'm saying like all of them have potential. But if you scroll up even, which one has the most?
Yeah,
I cannot answer this question. I'm so sorry. Like there's so many
no
good ones
problem.
out there. Like I can say like for a fact, like look, ChainGPT, great team. Like I'm also an advisor there. Like Elon is doing a
Yeah,
fantastic job. He's working super hard. He's super smart. LitLab, like also Javier, like man, they're doing fantastic things. I don't know if I can disclose this. Yeah, I can. They're working also with Elixir, major plans. They actually came out with their mobile phone app. I'm playing it actually a lot on my tablet as well. It's a fantastic game. So a lot of traction there. Animalia went into the market just now, of course. You have Engines of Fury also, like Saulios is building a fantastic game. So I'm also looking forward to that. Like there's so many here. DexCheck, Raf, also great founder. They're doing a lot of
yeah,
raises. I think he is a very big competitor to Dex tools. And then you have
yes.
Sidus AI Tech Paul, also same thing there, you know. So there are so many good things to say about these founders, and I think that that is also what I look for when we are providing these projects, you know, to our platform. Like find really great founders that are here for the long term.
I agree with you. You should bet on the team as well. I talk to Ref occasionally as well from DexCheck, and the thing that stands out to me is that he is so open to literally everything, and that he makes time for everything and everyone. And I think that's the right mentality. Most projects, these founders are like, "No, we know what we do, and I'll leave your messages at unread," and then they mess it up. But these people are actually open to it, and it feels like everybody nowadays is more like collaborating instead of going against each other. Feels like that kind of changed, and that's
You
a
know
good
what?
thing, in my opinion.
That's a fantastic take. That I didn't
Yeah,
even think about it myself, but I would actually say that this is something maybe I did that, I don't know, without even realizing it. But I would say that all the projects that you see are the founders are actually founders that are, I would define them as founders that are taking feedback and are listening to feedback and don't have the ego, you know, to lead the way, right? So
yeah,
and that is something that you need also within this market, right? To be very agile and to shift between things. And that's also what we did within Decubate until we got, I guess, the current business model that we have today and everything, right? We needed to try a lot of things. We needed to learn from our mistakes. We had to shift from back and forth. And again, like also according to the market sentiment and the cycles.
yes, exactly. Yeah. Now something else, because you have a lot of experience in crypto, right? You said you were pretty early, so you know about the market. What, apart from Decubate, where do you think that we stand? What, because if the market does well, automatically projects that are just already holding up do well, let alone projects that are really building. So we can expect, for example, Decubate also to grow, and everything will be easier if Bitcoin does well. What do you think about that? Just your personal opinion, really quick.
So actually today I saw this very easy chart of how it actually works within a cycle, where the money first enters Bitcoin, then it streams
Okay.
down to Ethereum, and then it streams down to well, I would say large caps, and then you have the alt season
Yeah.
very naturally. So yeah, in that sense, if I understand your question correctly, I think that a lot of things that are pegged to BTC, whether it comes from liquidity, pairs, market makers, traders, they tend to go with the market. They tend to go up. But when it comes to a safe bets, or like I definitely agree with a lot of things that you're also saying within your videos. Like launch pads are definitely like hot during bull market. I think that those are the places where you could potentially find like the next 100x. Like this is why I started like in the crypto space like very early on. Again, mined Ethereum 2016, but for me that was the click when the ICO, the ERC20 came out, and all these
Yeah.
ICOs, like and once you get one time that 100x, it's like chasing the dragon,
Yeah, it's addictive, right? Yeah. Do you believe in the 4-year cycle?
Yes,
So
I think
do you also believe that this year and next year will be pretty nice for crypto?
I think it's going to be glorious.
That's awesome to hear. So apart from Decubate, can you just, because you're a smart guy, you've experience, you run a great project, so I would like to hear this from you as well. Apart from Decubate, can you give a random, not even a top three, but just three projects that you feel like these all are already released, and these are the ones that I feel like are really interesting to watch, and also the same when it comes to unreleased projects.
Right. So are we talking
But
about like the ones that are being offered right now on even Decubate, or can be anything?
no, or maybe just in half a year from now, somewhere, and nobody knows where, whatever, just something that you feel like, hey, these are a couple of things that I'm keeping my eyes on, and these are some things that are already on the market that I'm keeping my eyes on. Don't have to be three, by the way. I don't know why I said three.
So I'm you could even say that I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I'm super bullish on Bitcoin very, very long term. I think that also with the same philosophy of investing in something that has great founders, I think that Bitcoin has the best foundation when it comes to investing in a crypto. They like Bitcoin doesn't need to have successful revenues and those kind of things. It's just here to stay. A huge Bitcoin bull, I would say for myself. I've always accumulated Bitcoin. I've never sold a single. I just like I don't know, it's kind of like a long-term kind of thing. When it comes to upcoming projects that haven't been released yet, Linea, I'm very, very bullish about that.
Mm.
About everything that you're building with the technology. I really highly recommend people to take a look at it. And why it's so interesting, it's just like for me it feels like a sleeping giant, or it's not even a sleeping giant, it didn't even come out yet, right? They're still going to have their airdrop. Obviously consensus is behind it. The technology stack is fantastic. We actually implemented everything that we do within Decubate into Linea within almost a single day, so it was super seamless. I know that they are significantly going to reduce their fees, and consensus is behind it, right? And consensus is behind MetaMask, which is by far the most used wallet in the world, right?
Yeah.
And what is the biggest use case actually for a new chain to come out is also like the traction and the real user base that is there, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely one. Yeah, I think. And then another one that might be interesting is Core. That is also
Mm.
worth looking at. I think that's behind, like below the radar for a lot of people. Like the BRC20, let's say narrative is really hot right now. But I think that a lot of people don't really actually understand why it's so hard. I think it's also kind of it's not a really productive kind of thing that works right now. Like the fees there are insane. So it will be very interesting for people to take a look at core and what that actually represents when it comes to this kind of technology and solutions, which already exist in a very scalable manner.
Is that a BRC layer 2 or?
No. So the way that I understand it, it's an EVM actually. It's the
Oh,
EVM. So it also allows projects like myself
EMS.
to actually migrate our technology there without having to build up like a new code base.
Interesting. Okay, so and something else. What do you think about crypto gaming?
I think it's very early for crypto gaming. I think it's still very much in its infancy, and I think it's still for us to really fine tune the token economics behind very successful token gaming projects. But I think the potential is enormous long term.
It's very early or too early?
I don't think it's too early. I think it's just really early, and
Yeah.
but it's very experimental still. It's very speculative, of course. It's very hard to find very great examples of actual hard use cases for right now today that are actually working. Of course, you can go to XT Infinity and argue, and we can have a very long discussion in regards to that, whether that was like great like token economics or not,
Mm.
and those kind. But again, I think there is a lot of potential in it. One of the biggest use cases for it is I want to be the owner of my own assets. Like I
Yeah.
want to be able to trade them also after I quit the game, like and then provide value towards the amount of time that you have actually spent building this character.
What I do love about it is that people in, let's say, the Middle East with a very low income can now live from just playing some games. They can make a couple of dollars every day from that game, and that's more than their salary. I
Yeah.
think, like, yeah, that's somewhat also damaging the society because they're not contributing there anymore. But on the other hand, it's helping these people, and I kind of love that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, one of the parts of my thesis was about writing this because I remember that basic attention token hit the market back in 2017. It was so
The
eye
Brave
opening.
browser token.
Yeah, exactly. Um, it was so revolutionary, the concept, and also it was in a time of Steemit, right? Like I don't know if you remember Steemit, but it was also like
Mm.
an open decentralized kind of forum where you could post articles and you would actually earn from the inflation hidden in the token as rewards. Same thing for basic attention token or the Brave browser. If you enable advertisements, you're basically going to earn tokens from that, right? But if you apply that concept to literally everything, which is then also like gaming, you could take it very, very far. Again, this is something that was speculated very early on. I still think that it's a challenge to get like good economics for these tokens.
Mm.
There's a very simple way to explain it, right? Like you have a bucket, and this bucket is full of tokens, and that has a value, right? Like if there is no holes in the bucket and everybody just throws water into it, of course it's gonna go full, it's gonna spill even a little bit over, but everybody's super happy because there's a lot of water there. But once you actually provide rewards to the users that are using this bucket, that's holes within the bucket. Now, if not enough water is coming in, that's basically sucking it out. That's very, very basic way to explain that, right? But if you have a token where you're only giving away rewards all the time, just relying on the
Yeah.
network effect of it, one day there's going to be a bear market. It's just going to fail.
Yeah, the move to earn hype kind of proved that
Yeah,
that doesn't work and isn't sustainable. I think that these games just have to be successful. Then they can actually sell the game and create revenue like that and sell in-game assets, but nobody's going to buy it if the game sucks. If they're
yeah,
only playing it to earn, then that should not be the focus. And I ask that because you have one project releasing as well, which is one more, but Xverse, which we spoke about before. I think that they have their economic system behind it. They have it pretty much on point, actually.
yeah.
So I'm personally really looking out for this one
Same
and to
here.
see how it goes. Yeah.
I actually, when you asked me about the previous question of which one I'm super bullish on, I'm actually very, very bullish about Xverse. I think that
Oh,
they're doing everything just right. Like when it
yeah.
comes to high quality games, they have a fantastic team. Faye, Nikita, and like
Prem. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like everything is just like everything checks there, right? So also when we had our due diligence with them, unfortunately we couldn't do the IDO because they were already fully booked for the public
Yeah.
raise. But everything just checked out, right? So um, again, super bullish about this one.
Yeah.
High expectations for this.
Same. Do do you and it's taking quite long, but it's a nice conversation. But when it specifically comes to, well, in this case, crypto gaming, but it could also go for AI or layer ones or RWA. But do you have, when you release a, or when you are in the talks with a crypto gaming project, for example, do you have a special part of the team that is specialized in crypto gaming, for example, or for AI? Because you have to, of course, compare a game to a game, and an AI
Of course.
to AI. Do you have specialized? Are you specialized in every field that you release?
Yeah. For me, it's very, very important. Like, and I'm gonna say something that sounds silly, but if you're building, let's say Interswap, like the CEO needs to be a proper nerd in order to build this thing. You need to
Yeah,
be
true.
super smart if you're working with this kind of technology, right?
Yeah,
And if you're a game, you really want to have also again, like how can I say it? Like I'm also like I consider myself a proper nerd, like in regards to what it is that I do because I love what I do. I do it like with full energy, and also when it's a gaming project, you want to have someone that is really like doing this out of passion, but also understands how to get it done as well. All right, so definitely, and that is the case not just for gaming or a decentralized exchange or whatever it is. Like you need to have someone that really understands his business in regards to that project.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah, that seems hard to me because there are so many different niches out there in crypto nowadays. You cannot know everything about everything, of course.
No, but then
So
that's when a great team comes also together, right? And I think that what's also unique for Decubate is that our team gets to engage with the team that we are collaborating with on all angles. So I
yeah,
obviously with the founders as first discussions, also in regards to the tokenomics, token economics, and those kind of things, listing strategies, exchanges. But then you also have like the technical part, which is our team is actually collaborating with their development team, right? And then you have maybe our legal departments that are also engaging with their legal advisors, operational officers, and those kind of things, right? So we get like an entire spectrum of the entire team. You also don't want to have like an ideal with a project that seems to have just the founder behind it doing everything at once because it's just not. You cannot do everything at once. You cannot do
no,
everything.
no. Well, you can for a certain amount of time, and then you are going to struggle very hard, and you will never grow big. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
Are there to almost wrap it up though, but for Decubate, are there specific niches that you feel like, yeah, this is what we want to focus on a little bit of extra? Do you go with the current hype, or do you feel like now we just go with whatever is good? Or are you a little biased? Do you feel like, okay, yeah, no, we'd like to have a little more AI, or uh, how does that work?
Honestly, I don't have a preference. Like AI, infrastructure, DeFi, gaming, all of it is welcome. If it's a great project, there's a great idea behind it. I'm not the launchpad that says that I'm going to fully commit towards one thing because I know I've been here multiple cycles. I know that things are changing all the time. There are new
Yeah,
innovations coming. And one of the things that I love so much about what it is that I personally do also within Decubate is having that entire spectrum of everything that is possible within this market. So I'm not going to shoot myself in the leg and prevent myself with working with a great project because it's so-called not in my niche or whatever.
yeah, I think that's best. Yeah, just go with whatever is yeah, is hot at the moment and that you see a future in, of course.
Yeah.
Um, okay, without any to cover it so we don't get sued, without any financial advice, What can you wrap it up by saying like, hey, these are the final words about Decubate. You should not, check us out and be in the community and research and understand Decubate. Can you give a good speech about that?
Definitely come check it out. You can use Menno's link. You can register, get a free base tier. You don't need to stake anything. It gives you $5,000 or 5,000 DCB power. 5,000 DCB power. You have a full refund policy. You have guaranteed allocation. So like when we are building these things, we are really thinking about how would it be as a user going to Decubate. How can I make sure that they're going to love the platform, right? So come check it out. If you don't like it, sure, like that's also fine. We have a lot of projects coming up, a lot of big events with a lot of big exchanges, those kind of things. It's going to be very, very exciting in the upcoming months.
And the learn to earn events, right? So it's also that people can just come learn about these projects, do some tasks, and also earn some tokens. So it's a little more than what we actually said, just a launchpad, even in the launchpad side of things.
Definitely. So even within the launchpad, indeed, we have learned to earn. We have airdropped in the past 2 years more than $2.2 million worth of tokens to our launchpad participants. But also for that, you can also whitelist as a base tier. Yeah, it's just going to be a few dollars, but like those few dollars can also do 10x or whatever it is, right? So
yes, we have a saying in the Netherlands: "Who the small doesn't eat is the big need weird." However you say it. So, yeah, definitely, it's a great way to introduce people to the platform, and if they like it, they can choose to expand it for themselves. So I think that's a very honest way about marketing as well. Yeah.